The next language we're going to take a look at is Java. This is heavily influenced by C, but came along over 20 years later. This was released in 1995 and was developed by Sun Microsystems. It is an enormously object-oriented language. It's all about classes and objects. And it comes with an enormous library called the Java class library, effectively meaning a whole bunch of pre-written code that you don't have to write. There's an enormous amount of functionality already in there for you. It is a high-level language. We don't really have to mess around too much with memory management. It has a built-in garbage collector. Java is a language that uses the hybrid compilation model. It's neither straight compiled nor is it interpreted. It compiles instead to something called bytecode. One of the reasons for that was the idea of being a very cross-platform language. There was a slogan that Sun used called "Write once, run anywhere." Now, as it's a partially interpreted language, that does mean that people do have to have the interpreter for Java on their machine, what's called the Java Virtual Machine, or JVM. You've almost certainly seen that yourself, that some application on your machine has wanted to install Java. And that's probably a good clue that one of the things it's famous for is for desktop applications. You can write a desktop application in Java and have it run on a Mac and have it run on a Windows PC, have it run on a Linux box. And recently, one of the big uptakes in Java was for developing mobile applications that run on the Android platform. So it's a C-based language. Well, what does it look like? Well, one thing that jumps out is, again, this word main. This is how we tell a Java program where to begin. Now, there seems to be an awful lot going on here. I can see that I have a int myInt equals 55 line. Once again, unlike JavaScript, which uses the word var, we have to be specific here. We're using the word int, not a general variable, but an integer variable. The line that begins system.out.println is how we output the words hello world to the screen. But this is an object-oriented language, and in Java, everything's in a class, which is why we have to surround the code that we want in this class Hello World app. Looks like an awful lot to do, but bear in mind, most of the development environments you'll use will provide this framework for you. You just have to come in and fill in the gaps. And as I've mentioned before, although there is a passing resemblance because of the curly braces, because of the semicolons, Java is not JavaScript. The languages have very little to do with each other. If you're interested in getting started with this language, you're probably looking at getting a full IDE, a full development environment for Java. Two of the most popular are Eclipse and NetBeans. And because this language is owned by Sun and developed there, java.sun.com is the most authoritative website to go to. Sun are now owned by Oracle, so you may be redirected, but you'll always be able to find a lot of information there on getting started and tutorials and the basics of starting to work with Java.